We've been going through all the Avengers relaunches, all the #1 issues in the Avengers series. There's been quite a lot of them, but we're probably nearing close to the end. And it's been a fun ride. I mean, all things considered, even with the good issues, the bad issues, it works itself out. So, so what do we got? Ah, mother, I'm never going to be done with this, am I? Hey everybody, this is Perch. Welcome to Occupy Avengers, which was somebody's idea, and it stars Hawkeye because if you're going to have a low-selling, canceled after 9 issues comic, Hawkeye is your go-to man. He is going to star in West Coast Avengers, the remake. He's going to star, and just you throw Hawkeye in it because why not? This comic comes in an interesting place in time. It basically emerged from the earth-shattering events of Civil War II. Anyway, so what basically occurred is that Hawkeye was asked by Bruce Banner if he ever got out of control, he would kill him. And Hawkeye got a vision of the future thanks to Ulysses, and Hulk was out of control because, of course he would be, and Hawkeye killed the Hulk. So this made him a pariah to the other heroes for some reason. And it made him a hero to the public. The public sees him as a savior. So how does Hawkeye see himself? So this series is nicely sandwiched, if you want to call it that, between Civil War II and Secret Empire. So while Captain America's off doing his Hydra thing, Hawkeye decided he's going to roam the Heartland, and he is going to solve actual problems for actual people. Not superhero problems, but ordinary person problems. And so he's going to get joined by Red Wolf here, and then eventually he's going to have another team member of Nightshade, who becomes Nighthawk from the Nighthawk comic that I think it had been canceled by now or was about to be canceled. It's hard to say. But, that didn't last long either. This comic does have really great art by Carlos Pacchio. And I think Pacchio does a really good job in this book. It's some of his better work. It's got good expressions. I like the way kind of Hawkeye, he does not skimp on the backgrounds, and it's good stuff. Good for Pacchio. So we open right up in Santa Rosa, New Mexico. And basically, Hawkeye is heading over to the Navajo Reservation, but they don't want to say Navajo Reservation because we don't want it to be that much of the world outside your window. We want to show some poverty, but not like that much poverty. It's just a little bit of poverty, kind of a little bit. Anyway, Hawkeye is hugging people in the diner because, he's a man of the people. So men of the people take pictures because they killed the Hulk. And he's kind of sad. He's not eating his burger. But suddenly the party is broken up by the police and Red Wolf. Wait a minute, Red Wolf. Why is he? Oh, he is here because you see, in Secret Wars, Red Wolf was kind of sent to this reality, and that's what we got here. So Red Wolf is here, and he's hanging out. He's a deputy down in Santa Rosa, New Mexico. And they immediately go to Hawkeye. Notices that there's no water. Like all the water is bottled water. And the police are like, well, the water sucks here. It's like Detroit, only it's New Mexico. We would have shown Detroit, but that's a little bit too real. We need to show it in the desert. I kind of got the feeling like they wanted to give Pacchio easier backgrounds to draw because it's just flat desert, but Pacchio winds up nailing it with a bunch of weird stuff. I'm just going to continue to praise Pacchio because that makes the pain inside feel less. I'm not sure why it's called Occupy Avengers. It came about, I don't know, maybe 10 years late for the Occupy movement. I may be getting this wrong, but I think the Occupy Wall Street movement was kind of 2008, 10? I don't know. It wasn't 2017. I'm sure of that. That's all I know. So Occupy Avengers. And plus there's only one Avenger. It's Hawkeye. And then he kind of teams up with Red Wolf. So maybe that's 2 Avengers, but he's not technically an Avenger. And they don't really talk about Avengers, but it's an Avengers book. Anyway, it's best not to think about such things. So Hawkeye goes off to the Sweet Medicine Indian Reservation because this is the Sweet Medicine tribe. That's okay. Again, you can just call them Navajo. I think there's some, I don't know, there's some Apache, some Ute. I think you've got a lot of different Indian tribes. But sweet medicine, you dug into your dictionary, you went with sweet medicine. Okay. Anyway, the reservation looks like crap because of course it does. The buildings are all dilapidated. I've been to several Indian reservations, and this is pretty dead on. The reservations are a definite national, I don't want to say eyesore. I mean, it is an eyesore, but it's a disgrace, really. It is the place where nobody talks about. I'm not going to get all political, but it is funny how we talk about needing to improve the living conditions and all the rest. And you're like, hey, welcome to the Indian reservation where most of the people do not have running water or electricity. But that's cool because, they don't have a big lobby. So them, right? Anyway, so he is hanging out in this place, and they could draw like a used mattress. That's always when you want to go with poor and poverty, you put a used mattress outside. That is the go-to. So he's talking to the grandma here, and they're like, "What are you here? You're an environmentalist? You're a do-gooder? Somebody? No, it's Hawkeye, the guy who killed the Hulk." It's like, "Oh wow, killed the Hulk. Okay, well that's cool." But meanwhile, they're being spied on by evil white guys in skull mask bandanas. See, they're doing their COVID business with the masks. This is before the time when the masks would be, that you're not supposed to wear them because of freedom. But this is before COVID, when you didn't have to not wear them because of freedom. So they're wearing them. So they're wearing their little skull masks. Plus, it makes them look kind of cool. They got skull masks and baseball caps on and sunglasses, and except for the guy with the goatee, he doesn't wear his skull mask. He is not social distancing. But anyway, he's like, this guy has a Doctors Without Borders or Greenpeace look about him. They're them hippies. And so they're saying, don't try and kill him. But then 9 hours later, they're racing after him in their Jeeps, and Hawkeye's getting away on his motorcycle, and they're trying to kill him. So everybody's trying to kill Hawkeye for reasons unknown. He's like investigating the water, and the bad guys are like, we can't let him investigate the water. It's not really clear what's going on. So Hawkeye talks about how bows and arrows are intimate and love letters, and it gets kind of creepy with what he does with these arrows. I guess this is Clint Barton, not Hawkeye, because Hawkeye is Kate Bishop at this point. So this is Clint. It's hard to keep track. So you had Hawkeye. He was kind of like the arrogant guy, and then he was kind of the jokester, and then he had Mockingbird get killed, and he was sad guy for a while, and then he became Giant, and then I think he slept around with some people, but then Mockingbird came back and he was happy, but then Matt Fraction made him into a loser, and then he killed the Hulk, and then he became a jokey guy, and that brings us up to today. Anyway, so Hawkeye is noting that, Thanos is a big pain in the ass, but he's not a contaminated water supply. How do you fight a contaminated water supply? I don't know. I mean, it's kind of weird that he strolled through a dilapidated Indian village with like people living in severe poverty. He's like, man, we got to fix this water. I mean, don't get me wrong. You should fix the water, but maybe you can get Tony Stark to come out there and like build some It's like, no. They kind of address this at one point in the comic that it's like, we could bring some superheroes out here into these really poor places and, build some nice buildings and give them some money, but that's a superhero solution. We need a real person solution. It's like, no, I'm pretty sure the poor people would be cool with a superhero. Like Tony Stark could just buy everybody some, new pumps. I don't know what he's doing screwing around with the mask guys. Anyway, I don't know. You kind of, when you read these books where this is a problem with superhero books where they're fighting Galactus and Thanos, and they've got predictive justice, and Captain Marvel's sitting outside on like a $5 trillion space station monitoring Earth, and you got all this kind of this stuff. The Avengers are hanging out in a dead celestial mountain. You can't really think about the ordinary people problems, because the ordinary people problems could be solved super, super easily by the heroes, but that's what this comic is kind of trying to do. But unfortunately, it reveals the superheroes are dicks, because otherwise they could fix this. I'm just saying. So Hawkeye's on the ropes, and suddenly in comes Red Wolf. He's riding a horse, and he's got some wolves, and so that's good news. He tomahawks this Jeep, and that causes some trouble. So there's a fight. They stabby some people with his arrows through the legs and through the arms. They'll probably get some infections here. I don't know. I mean, his arrow's going like right through the bicep, and I'm sure it hurts. And then Hawkeye like yanks it out, and there's blood everywhere. And I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking, Hawkeye killed at least a couple of these people, but whatever. Real human problems, real human solutions. So they torture the guy for a while. And then Hawkeye decides, this guy's a dick. He's just going to talk around and not solve anything. And then he remembers that, hey, this part of the desert that I drove through really quick while the people were shooting at me didn't have water before. It was dry, and now there's water. This riverbed suddenly has water. Something weird is going on. So he starts fishing around in it with his hand. Apparently, he grabs something private because out comes Hydro Man. You kind of get the feeling, like, based on the expressions and the way everybody looks, that maybe Hawkeye was touching his junk or something, because Hydro Man comes out and he decides to shoot some water right in their face, and then they're drowning, but they'll be all right. So anyway, that's how our issue ends. Occupy Avengers #1. They would go on to kind of save the village, and then they would find some Skrulls, and they would help them out, and then they did some stuff in Chicago for some reason. It's fine. The series would end after 9 issues, and Red Wolf and Nightshade, who would become the new Night Mask, kind of got together and became a thing, which, okay, I mean, sure. I mean, I don't think we've seen them again. I think they just kind of disappeared into the sun. They're solving real human problems is what they're doing. Look, I don't know why this comic was made. It's a fun enough story, I guess. Man, Carlos Pacquiao just killed it with his art. There is some good art everywhere. I like the characters. I like the way everybody looks, and the color. The coloring's good too. Actually, this book is fun to look at, even though, yeah. And what do you know? Carlos Pacquiao penciler, Raphael Fontrez is the inker, Sonia Obach the colorist. Yeah, you got a penciler, you inker, a colorist. You got a good-looking book. This is a good book. Unfortunately, the story. I mean, it's fine. It's like a solo Avengers type story. Hawkeye's doing some stuff, and he has a little adventure, and it goes away. You can't be too hard on that. It's solo Avengers. So David F. Walker, there you go. Occupy Avengers. I swear to God that this title is just terrible. But what did you think? Did you love this series? Did you remember this series? Leave a comment below. Maybe you really dug it. It did give a different view of the Avengers. I guess I can give it that. That's nice. But it shot itself in the foot several times with an arrow, which is a loving embrace from a marksman, says Hawkeye. Leave me a comment below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook at Comic Perch, and thanks for listening.